Am I the jerk for refusing to continue providing free childcare for my stepdaughter? Posted by you/payingcomfortable8891. I participated in a work program with the local clerk of court's office when I was in high school. They hired me after I graduated, and I reached 30 years of service before I turned 50. With 30 years of service, you can receive your full pension at any age. I worked until my first grandchild was born, then retired to be grandma daycare. I have 5 grandchildren, an 8-year-old boy from my stepson, a 7-year-old boy from my son, a 5-year-old girl, and an 18-month-old boy from my daughter. I babysat all of them without issues or complaints. I still care for the 18-month-old Monday through Friday and watch the older ones during the summer and school holidays. My stepdaughter and her boyfriend have been non-stop drama since before their baby was born. When she was 10 weeks pregnant, they gave me a 3-page list of rules for babysitting. They said if I didn't sign it, I wouldn't be allowed to babysit. I told them I understood their need to do what was best for their baby and assured them there would be no hard feelings if they made other childcare arrangements. Some rules were almost understandable, but most were downright ridiculous, and none of them were going to work for me. I don't remember all the rules, but here are some examples. I couldn't take the baby anywhere without their permission. I couldn't watch more than one additional child while babysitting. I couldn't cook. I had to provide the full name, date of birth, and address of any potential visitors for their approval before the person could be around their child. They had to know any time I had a guest over, who it was, and how long they stayed. My 9-year-old cat would have to be kept out of any room the baby might be in, even when the baby wasn't there, and I couldn't get another pet without their agreement. When she was 7 months pregnant, they returned with revised rules in an attempt to compromise. Again, I told them their expectations didn't fit with my life and encouraged them to find other childcare. 2 days after my stepdaughter returned to work, she called and asked if I could watch Cullen the next day. I agreed but made it clear I would provide safe, appropriate care based on my judgment, and wouldn't tolerate complaints or accusations of violating their rules. I wanted it to be very clear that I wasn't agreeing to any of their conditions. My stepdaughter was fine when she dropped Cullen off and picked him up, but I felt like she interrogated me every time. It was tolerable, but her boyfriend was downright rude. By Sunday, I would dread the start of the week because of their behavior, especially his. At minimum, he would pick Cullen up, make a big deal about partially undressing him, and make at least one snide comment about my cat, having another grandchild over, cooking, or something else. Then he'd say something like, "I guess we don't have any choice but to put up with this for now," or, "I guess you're happy you won." This went on for 4 months. I spoke to my stepdaughter several times and told her that, clearly, they were unhappy with how I cared for Cullen. I suggested they find alternative childcare and said her boyfriend needed to tone down his behavior. Things would improve for a day or two, but then he'd start again. It all came to a head as Thanksgiving approached. He was very vocal about not wanting me to keep all my grandchildren over the break. I made it clear there would be a couple of days when I'd have all of them and told them to make other arrangements if they had a problem. They didn't make other arrangements, and when he picked Cullen up on the first day I had all my grandkids, he was very rude. Although nothing went wrong, everyone was happy, clean, fed, and had a great day. He told Cullen he was sorry they had no choice but to leave him in an unsafe situation where he'd be neglected. I called my stepdaughter that night, told her what he'd said, and informed her they had 2 weeks to make other arrangements. I also said she needed to handle drop-offs and pick-ups, as I would refuse to babysit if her boyfriend came to drop off or pick up Cullen. Things improved when I only dealt with her. At some point, she asked if I'd watch Cullen until January because they'd found a new childcare provider who couldn't start until then. I agreed, and everything was fine while she handled the drop-offs and pickups. On New Year's Day, several people sent me a screenshot of a post her boyfriend made on social media, saying how thankful he was that they finally didn't have to worry about Cullen's safety or neglect anymore. He didn't name me or accuse me directly, but anyone who knows us knew I had been keeping Cullen. The post was clearly directed at me. I was just happy it was over. On Friday, she called and said their new childcare provider told her Cullen wasn't a good fit and couldn't return on Monday. She asked if I'd start babysitting him again. I told her I was sorry for their situation but didn't feel comfortable keeping him anymore. My husband and stepson think I should agree, provided Amanda handles drop-offs and pickups, because they believe her boyfriend is the real issue. My stepson also commented that I'd probably be more willing to move past this if it had been a conflict with my daughter's husband. For context, my pension is about $4,000 per month, plus continued health insurance. This accounts for about 40% of our household income. Am I the jerk for refusing to watch Cullen again? Update 1 day later. First, let me address the common suggestion that Amanda's boyfriend is purposely sabotaging their childcare to trap her at home. They make roughly the same amount of money and definitely can't afford to lose half their income. I seriously doubt he wants her to stay home. Second, I would never tell my stepson to find someone else to watch his child because of the simple difference of opinion. My grandson and I have a very close bond. He's the oldest, and it would break both my heart and his if he didn't come spend his holidays and summers with me. Plus, he's a huge help with the little ones when I have them all and things get hectic. I would never be so petty as to make him, and all my other grandchildren, suffer because of an adult disagreement. I sort of asked around about why they were dropped by their new sitter so quickly. Apparently, they weren't. Amanda picked Cullen up and dropped him off both days he went, and everything was lovely. He did cry quite a bit, but they expected that to improve as he adjusted to not being held as much. My husband and stepson talked to Amanda, and she said they realized they can't afford daycare. They already made the easy changes, packing a lunch, giving up fancy coffee, etc., and his dad and her mom are both contributing about $100 per month each towards childcare. They can barely afford it, but they didn't realize you have to send everything the baby needs. I buy diapers, wipes, formula, bottles, extra clothes, etc. They just hand me the baby. They didn't realize that daycare doesn't cover all that. Also, imagine her boyfriend's surprise when he found out what the staffing ratios are in this very expensive daycare. One adult cares for 5 infants. I guess he thought someone would provide one-on-one care, along with diapers, wipes, and formula for $350 a week. My stepson relayed their almost apology. They felt overwhelmed by an infant and couldn't imagine that someone else could manage that plus other things. Cullen is going back to daycare tomorrow. Cullen's dad is selling his dirt bike, and Amanda is selling some designer clothes, handbags, and shoes to cover the cost. It'll get easier for them in 6 months when he transfers to the 1-year-old class, which is a little cheaper. Commenter: I'm so glad Op isn't backing down on this. I cannot believe she is providing everything for all the grandkids as well. Lesson well learned for the stepdaughter and her clueless boyfriend. People seldom appreciate what they receive for free.